best.
Oh yeah. So I just heard something about Dave starting guitar lessons.
Oh yeah, we're busting them out right now. But this is also a recruiting trip for us because I want to bring you into the fold. I need you to be on the team here to turn Dave into a rock star.
I'll do what I can.
Fuck it, let's go.
Well,
Yeah.
let's start with that, Mark. So, I mean, I guess we can just get right into the interview, right? Like,
Let's
just,
go for
Absolutely.
Let's go for it. So,
Is the picture okay? I don't know if you can
Yeah.
see me or not. Okay, cool.
You look great. It looks like a beautiful morning. I wish I was.
It
outside
really
now.
does.
Oh, it's so nice, man. So nice.
But so for the last few days, we opened up the Barstool Sports gambling app in Illinois because it's legal here now, and we've been doing live streams at Joe's on Weed Street in Chicago because I'm out of Chicago. You met Ryan, my buddy and coworker. Was that last weekend or 2 weekends ago?
Yeah.
And so I'm talking to Ed Warm. Do you remember that name at all?
What's the last name?
Warm, like warm weather.
No.
So I'm telling him, like, yeah, I got this music podcast going. We're like 10 episodes in, give or take. We got Marc Roberge coming on from O.A.R. And he said that back in 96, you guys came to Chicago and you were like asking everybody, hey, can we play here? Can we play here? Can we play here? And he's like, yeah, you guys can come. I'll give you $300. And you guys took it. Do you remember that at all?
Where at his house or no?
No, is that so? He's got Joe's on Weed Street. It's a concert venue
Oh,
plus
okay,
sports
yeah.
bar.
I am sure that's a true story because our motto from day one, we started out playing, the first show was the 8th grade talent show. The second show was Liz Ritchie's backyard, then the cafeteria at school. And then that we maintain this kind of idea that, just be ready, play anywhere. Like even till today, you said, why are we making songs or whatever? I just want to be ready all the time. So it's like, that's probably a true story because we were always looking for places to play. And it was never about, I wouldn't say never, but I say most of the time it was more about playing than getting a check. But I'm sure that $300 was well spent very quickly.
Oh yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So looking back on those like grinding days, what was like the worst spot, or not even like worst memory, but like what was like the grimiest spot you guys played?
So I'm always thinking about not even the grimiest stage and area. I always just think about the places we've showered. The things you've done just to like get a quick shower and all across the country there's amazing like truck stops, and then there's not so amazing truck stops, right? And then venues, however, cannot seem to get it through their heads. I feel like they need to think dressing room first, shower first. So which place? I mean, endless amounts of shitty showers, and like terrible places, but some of them, that's just part of their allure,
Part of the charm, dude.
There's some spots across the country that you're thinking, oh my God, this place is kind of old and vintage. And then you find out, Johnny Cash played there a bunch of times. And you realize that they're trying to maintain that sort of like, thing about them that makes them who they are. There's some dumps, but I would never name them. I feel terrible.
Not gonna name names, but I've been there, dude. I've been at the truck stop shower. I've been in the not showering for a couple days, and then you get to like one hotel, and everybody in the band fucking jumps in one after another. I know that feeling, and we're a big band too. We're like a 6-piece band, so I know you know that game. Yeah, dude. So past that, like, let's look at this past year, right? You guys are like a preeminent live band. You guys are, that's where you get the fucking energy from. What's the past year been like for you?
So it's an odd time, and I'm certainly, not complaining, but just from where we're sitting, this is my experience. We were in Charlottesville. We were sitting there doing the show. I remember getting in the bus after the show and them saying, all right, we're going to go home. I didn't take it seriously. And then that night I watched a Dateline or something about what this could possibly be. And my mind went racing, and then fast forward to now. So in the 20 plus years on the road, legitimately driving around, doing a bunch of shows, I'd never really been home for longer than a month or two. I mean, there was one time where I was here for a few months for a specific reason. And honestly, it's just like at first you're almost thinking, wow, this is an opportunity I've never had. So I better lean in and I better really enjoy this. And that's like a weird word to say at this time, but it is, I had to really enjoy the time I was given with my kids and my wife and everything, because we just had never had that before. But then, 6 months deep, you start to feel your identity kind of like go a little bit astray, because you're thinking like, was I really a rock musician guy on the road, or is that just what I did for a job? And then, but I'm still the same dude. But then no, you realize like it's part of who you are. It's part of what you are. And I never really even understood when you'd see someone say, oh, your job's not who you are, and it's what you are. It's not what you are, it's who you are. It's like, I never even understood that entire saying, because you spend so much time doing something. I don't care who you are, what you did. That is part of your identity, right? So then you were faced with, okay, so what's next? Is this, I better lean into like this long haul and be a really good family person and be there. And that's been the balance of not letting your little ego take control of family time. And once I figured that out, I found a lot of happiness. So right now I'm just, again, ready to go to work, but really enjoying like seeing the littlest thing, dude, like the littlest thing, right? Like just little family things that I have never seen before. And so that's been good. To answer your question, it's been a little of this, a little of that.
Yo, be honest with me about something. So like,
Yeah.
I know from my experience, my wife was very happy to have me home and not on the road and like live a normal life for like at least this stretch of time. Is your wife sick of you being home yet? Does she want you to go back on the road?
Of course. I mean, I don't blame her. I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was home 1 month. Yeah, I could. I'm like family guy, mom. But you start to get exposed, after a while, that you're just like this road warrior dude, and like I just forget, to do the most basic things that I've been pampered with for the last fucking like God knows how long.
100%.
20 years.
So that creeps in, and she's so cool about just not bringing up every little thing, and she never ever does that, and I just have to kind of realize it myself. So yeah, I bet you their system they have is what they need back. I come in and I disrupt the whole system.
Right. Oh yeah, 100%.
And that's why they want me on the road. It's not because I'm not super fun or something, but yeah, dude, I imagine I drive them insane. Yeah.
I feel like my wife is realizing all the weird shit that I do on a day-to-day basis, like being around me. And like, I don't know, Dave, I haven't even asked you this, but like, Mark, for someone who is on the road all the time, do you ever just find yourself like fucking driving around, or like at least trying to get out of the house, or like driving to certain places just because you're so used to being on the fucking road?
Dude, you want to know what's sad? To this day, in my bathroom, in my apartment, I have my DOP kit full of my stuff.
Oh, really?
I don't, and I'll talk to you about it right now. And I'm gonna say, yo, gotta go upstairs, take my stuff out, put it in the cabinet, put the DOP kit away, get rid, and I will forget.
Yep.
And it'll go another 6 months, and I'll still have all my road stuff in my bathroom above, as if I'm only home for 3 days. It's the weirdest thing. So that's my weird stuff. And then again, travel to me is so like you're just, if someone said right now, hey, will you drive to DC, pick up this anything, drive it to Georgia, and then be home for like late night? I'm like, yeah, no problem. It's nothing. It's like that I carry with me too. And I can't even go 20 feet to the store, it's like, so.
It's been just this fucking cataclysmic adjustment we've all had to make. Like, legitimately, part of me has been ripped away. But I will say, on the other hand, if it wasn't for the circumstance, I wouldn't be sitting here with Dave doing this fucking podcast and talking to you. And I know Dave's found new things. Have you found anything new in the past year, like that you're like, oh my God, I made this adjustment, and now like I'm gonna do things differently now?
Yeah, I'm trying to bring that tour order. You get the day sheet at tour and at work, and you have, everything that's happening all day long. I'm trying to bring that into my world here, and try to be responsible by schedule. So it's like from 9 to 10, I'm going to do X. 10 to 11, I will exercise. 11 to 4, I can make songs, and then formative. So I'm trying to bring that schedule into the home life, and again, like meld the worlds together. I can't go too far either way, man. If I go too far one way or the other, it's just not normal. I think we're a blend. We're a total blend.
You gotta be, dude.
And I like your name, your band name. My brother was in a band ages ago called Foxtrot Zulu. They're out of like the New England area, and a big jam band.
Fuck your brother's band, because every time I Google my own name, Foxtrot Zulu pops up too. That's insane.
Oh shit,
way.
Yeah,
we're
dude,
gonna have
the first thing I noticed. So I was like, yeah, that's cool.
We're gonna have to schedule a rough and rowdy fight between me and your brother through Barstool, just to like claim the one true Foxtrot, dude. We're gonna have to do it.
I think that, and I would hate to end up fighting each other, because we've been looking through that rough and rowdy thing. Like one of our guys is like a boxer, like our saxophone player, like boxes for real.
Wow.
And so we're like, dude, and he's from Youngstown, Ohio, and we're like, you gotta go and fight like Riff Raff or something, like, because I heard, because they're training him to fight, and I think anybody who wants to get in there and do it, and I'll be his trainer, I guess, fake trainer, maybe. I'll just yell like quotes and shit, but I want to get in on that, because I think it's incredibly insane, and it's incredibly forward. I feel like everybody loves that excitement but until you get in there and realize like a round will just work here.
Those guys, it's so funny watching them go 3 1-minute rounds, and by the third round they're just like, they can't even lift their arms. It's so funny.
Respect for and that's the thing, like, being home, you said, do I pick up new things? You pick up all these dreams, like, oh, I'm gonna be a boxer, I'm gonna be a hockey player, I'm gonna go play shoot hoops every day, and then I realized I suck at all those things, and the time just slipped away. You like got good at guitar, but everything else you suck at.
Bro, literally,
so
you just said
careful. Be
and
careful.
You just said exactly what Dave did do, because this whole fucking thing with Dave becoming a rock star and working with us,
it was more out of boredom. Yeah. So when I was younger, my dad made me take piano lessons when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, and I actually got pretty good at it. But I was always the jockey kid. Like I wanted to be sports, and more sports. Any sport, any ball you put in front of my face, I was kicking it or throwing it or whatever. And I didn't like playing an instrument, because I didn't want to be known as like the guy that's in the band or whatever. And looking back, it was the dumbest thing in my life. And he made me take piano lessons because he said it would help with my hand-eye coordination in baseball. And like, if I could rewind to any point in my life, any point, it would be back then, and I would have picked up every single music instrument I possibly could have.
See, you say that, and this is again the classic thing, and it always comes up. It's like, if the guy or girl who's really great at sports says, oh, I want to be a musician or an actor or whatever the other thing is, and then it goes both ways, where all I remember is being 10, 11, 12, 9, and being into every sport, every team, and it was your shit, and it was the whole world revolved around it. And I really wanted to advance in any of those things. I was a wrestler, so wrestling didn't really go past, even like if you wrestled in college, that was major shit. So I didn't see that in my future. I didn't see all these things happen. I knew music was maybe a more realistic way out into the world, but since that day, all I'm left with is 12-year-old hoop dreams. And like, you just think that I'm good at all this shit because last game I played when I was 12, I was really good. and then you get out there and it's like, I can't do anything. My kids, oh my God, they run circles around me, man. It's bad.
Well, let me ask you this. When did you know that you and O.A.R. like made it?
Oh, that's a great question, because there were times, that completely stood out. And I think what we've always kind of stuck to is the fact that we're gonna work this thing like a team mentality. A bunch of people in a band. We went to Ohio State University because it had the most bars in the smallest area. It was either Texas or Ohio State. We got into Ohio State. We went. When we got there, we'd already made independent records and we'd done things like that, and we're building our label, but we didn't know that we had made it until we went to get booked at the Newport Music Hall, and they wouldn't book us traditionally. We had no history in town. And we said, well, what's your least successful night? Like, what's the dead night? And I just remember Mondays, and I'd say, oh, well, what if we rented it out from you, paid you more than you were going to make that night, and then we could sell our tickets. And we started doing that and selling this place out and and then the great promoters there brought us into the world. But one moment in particular, when our parents came to visit us and see what we were up to, and we had a sold out night, and I'll never forget, all the parents kind of giving us the blessing of, okay, you guys know what you're doing. And from that point on, it became not only big successes, oh my gosh, we played Red Rocks or the Gorge or the Garden, all these obvious things that you could celebrate and be thankful for. But for us, it was more just, doing 6 nights at the House of Blues in Chicago, or like doing like big shit for us on our own when we built that. And those are the times when we felt like we made it. After that point, when we were in the system, quote unquote, and we started working within the system and having accomplishments that way, we knew we were getting a lot of help. And they were easier to celebrate, but it wasn't such a steep climb that when you did it yourself and you're posting flyers on the fucking telephone post with staple guns and shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you have 5 possessions in your world. It's your guitar, your staple gun, your tuner, your 1/4-inch cable, and your fucking road case that you saved up for. And you had 1 road case and the rest of the shit was torn to hell. But like, those accomplishments are the ones that made us feel like we made it, because it was so apparent that you had increased your size of tickets, or increased, you sold a few more t-shirts. You really felt tangible wins early on. And now, fucking getting a win now, you feel like you worked so hard for it, and they all really sink in. Yeah. So we're maintaining a thankful attitude and team mentality,
Yeah. Dude, well, you guys, like, I was telling Colin this actually prior to you hopping on. Like, so I have a podcast out in Chicago that just focuses on everything Chicago pop culture, food, sports, everything. It's called Red Line Radio. And I do a lot of the booking for that show. And I've dealt with a million athletes from all generations, all levels, all skill levels, like some MVPs, all-stars. I shot you a DM. I'm like, hey, would you want to hop on the podcast? You're like, absolutely. Like, let's do it. Like 1 o'clock Monday afternoon. It was the easiest, it was just like, holy shit. Like, he just said yes. I didn't have to go through any management. I didn't have to shoot him an email. It was the easiest. And I thank you for that. And that just goes back to your like humble attitude. Like, you do a ton of shit with Barstool too. And it, like, we really, like, I'm speaking on behalf of all Barstool. Thank you for that. Because
listen,
it does
I'm
mean
fascinated.
A lot to us.
I'm fascinated by so many aspects of what this type of broadcasting is. I'm fascinated with the network that has been growing. I'm fascinated with all the dynamics of it, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the sideways stuff, this way, maintaining that sort of like motto of listen, this is in essence, I know it's a sports network, but it's also a comedy network.
Right.
And I think that, once you understand that, there's a lot of layers to peel back and be interested in. So I am. And I also felt, and you guys fit right into the 1 p.m. I told you 1 p.m. is when I'm available on the phone from 1 to 2 Eastern, you know what I mean? So this was easy. And also, being at the Pink Whitney Cup, and it was Chief, that I hung out with, and super nice, and just kind of, hit it off, talking.
Laid back guy. Because like, and Colin and I were talking again. We're like, dude, like O.A.R. and Marc Roberge's voice, that was like the soundtrack of our lives growing up, like through high school, college, and even I'm 32 now. I've seen you guys live 3 times, I want to say, and it's just such a weird, like, how it's all come full circle that now I'm on an interview with you, one of my favorite bands on the planet, and it's an odd feeling, and I don't think I'll ever be able to get used to that.
Well, that's what the beauty of is that, did I lose you? I got you. That's the beauty of the medium, is that it's bringing together people that normally working within the traditional system just might not ever get together and talk about some shit. And I think that's something I like. I'm always like into the long form interview. I think Howard Stern perfected it. I'm a huge fan of everything they built, and there's a natural progression onto new things. And I feel that the direct one-on-one contact that we get right now is something that Barstool and not many others are really good at providing this content to folks who want to hear and listen and see. And I'm just interested in the ride. So I appreciate the opportunities.
I mean, from a musician's point of view, and like, you get interviewed and shit like that, right? And so much of it feels like, a business transaction. Like, you go do something and it's like, it's a prepackaged interview, you got 7 minutes to do it, you're in and out. But like when you can sit down and talk to somebody about the fact that you're a fucking huge sports fan or shit like that, you know, like people appreciate that. And I know like that was one thing in coming into this. If we were going to talk to musicians for the podcast, I want to get them on a human level. I want to ask you like, yo, what's the grimiest fucking place you played at? Or like, what? Give me some stories that I would want to hear.
I'll tell you some stories, man.
Give me some stories, bro.
Yeah, you know, it's like, so you guys are out of Philly and
Yes,
Chicago,
sir.
right? So the band's out of Philly. My mom was born in, were raised in Margate, Atlantic City area.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of Philly family, and coming up knowing that the Philadelphia sports fan base is absolutely insane.
Yes, sir.
That carries. And I'm from DC area, half my life here, half my life in New York, or there in New York. And I know that the Philly sports fanatic, it goes right into music. So when we come and play Philly, I mean, everything from the TLA, which I know you've played at, and I know that the Electric Factory was early days in the Electric Factory, the TLA. I mean, I'm talking about just doing everything you're not supposed to be doing, but en masse in quantity of everything. And it was like, the best times we had were completely loose and lost, and it was great. And a lot of it happened in Philly. And as we grew in Festival Pier and all these, you know, we played with 311 down the street in the Tweeter Center, I think it was called. Yeah. So each town has its own kind of flavor, you know. And Philly, god damn, I mean, it's madness. I got hit in the fucking head in Philly. And this is how much I love Philly, is that I didn't fucking stop the show and cry about it. But I'm up there, I'm singing like we have this song called I Feel Home. It's like a real, like, it's a softie. And I'm singing, my eyes are closed. I'm so into it. I like floating away into like happy space, you know. And I catch a silver dollar right in between my eyes. Hard. I mean, hard. Someone whipped one right at me, busted me open. I'm bleeding down my face. I'm fucking playing. And part of me isn't even mad. I'm like, I'm in Philly. And I might even have said it. It's like, someone
scumbag Philly.
That means we love you. That's a what term I'm saying. Of endearment. Like,
someone was fired up. And I felt like, damn, okay, well, we sent our guys out to get him. I don't think they got him, and I let it go. I just knew that, like, this was in every town. Then in Chicago, you know, the history I have in Chicago goes very deep. Amazing. Some of the most amazing friends I have in this world are from Chicago and Highland Park and that world. So the flavor in Chicago has been wild in a whole other way, you know. And so that's just what I'm trying to do, is collect these stories. We like to feel like we feel like we live the 90s version of Dazed and Confused, you know. Like, we want to tell our story like a basement band coming up and doing everything. Our first tour out of the gate in May of 2001, leaving college, was opening for Kid Rock on like 3 big ass festivals, you know. And so you're just like exposed immediately. And every day was a story. I mean, you know, that life out there, every corner, you don't know what's around it. You don't know what's going to happen every day. And you have to love that or choose another job, you know?
That's the fucking truest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It's fucking so beautiful to hear somebody else talk about that kind of like, or embrace the fact, like, you see so many people who want to like gloss over like, oh, we had to fucking shower in rest stops, and they just want to get right to the fucking, oh yeah, we play giant festivals and stadiums. I want to hear more about the whole grind coming up than I care about once you get there.
I think music fans in general want to hear that stuff. They want to, because I mean, you're O.A.R. You're, you know, lead singer, rhythm guitarist. You're a fucking world-class celebrity.
Rock star, motherfucker.
You're a rock star. You're a fucking rock star. And people want to hear like the origin stories. They appreciate that, and they like I think Colin used the word humanizing people of your, you know, your size and popularity.
Well, and it's that too. It's also like the people who are in the industry who are coming up, they need to hear that to keep their fucking head on straight.
For sure, absolutely.
Then you don't feel like you're getting defeated constantly. There's motherfuckers who did this shit. You're a forefather of the come up. You know what I mean? Like that's the shit.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, because when we started out, I saw my brother's band, 7 to 9 people in the basement of my mom's house, sleeping in that basement. Every 6 months, their school bus would bust down. Catch on Fire, or
Yeah.
Church Bus, whatever they had.
Almost Famous.
Yeah, and you're watching the climb of these buses and these shitty vehicles, and they don't care, man. We're out
Yep.
on the back porch barbecuing. You know, I'm drinking my first beer with some other band, and it's like I saw that lifestyle as the road warrior lifestyle that I wanted to have my dues stamped, paid. I didn't want to be famous in the traditional sense. So when younger artists, or for instance, after this call, I'll be working with this amazing young artist on a song, and if they want to be famous, I say, I cannot help you. I can't help you get famous. I didn't know how to do it. I used making songs, and then that vehicle could take you to some recognition. But if the recognition you're looking for is some sort of like stamp of approval from other people, you're never going to fill that void. It's never going to be filled, especially even in every broadcasting. Everyone's going to hate you. And it's like, you have to be comfortable with that, and also be cool with like the both sides of that. If you're one of those people who just kind of like inspires someone to not like you as much as they like you, that's another good sign that you're on the right path, you know?
Yeah.
So you can't want to be famous in this business, especially now, because as easy as it does, quote unquote, seem for people to find fame, and we're seeing younger and younger folks find this amazing place that they're at. That's 1 in a zillion even. I mean, we were facing 1 in a billion. They're facing 1 in a zillion. Everybody's got a phone and a fucking video camera. They can fucking try, you know? So it's like all those other fucking platforms, MySpace, all the cream does rise to the top, but the odds are so slim that, you know, you can't want fame. You gotta love the road. You gotta love the grind, you know?
It's so funny because I was talking to my mom about this the other day. I went back to my old neighborhood in Philadelphia, and I was helping her clean out her basement. We found all these like early, like college era Foxtrot artifacts, like old fucking like do it yourself posters we used to hang on the stage and shit like that. And she looked at me and she was just like, it has to feel so gratifying to see things to start to come around to the good side when you live the bad side. Like I feel so much happier, and I have the stories to back it up. I don't think I could deal with being one of these LA TikTok kids who get famous at like 15, and then all of a sudden that's their base. That's where they come from. And where do you go from that?
You know, I've seen a lot of really good, and thankfully my wife is who keeps me up to speed on what the hell's going on out there. She's sending me Barstool clips way before I'm going to see them. Thankfully, I have someone in my world, and you know, she's showing me these folks, and yeah, there's some diamonds in the rough. There's some really smart people who know how to manipulate that medium, and they're going to do it better than I'll ever be able to do it. And that's what I'm learning, is those things. But I think it's also creating some sort of unattainable fucking hotness, unattainable coolness, unattainable everything. And I look at my kids, and I don't see them feeling like shit about themselves yet. So I'm all good with it. But the second I fucking see them saying, God, man, Dad, don't I look like a little weak, or any of that shit, I'm like, that's a wrap, you know, because I'm not having it. It's like, so there are amazing stars. I just think the medium itself can go one way or the other, where I always assume that on these videos, as they're watching, there'll be advertisements for like your specific plastic surgery needs.
Dude,
you know, it's like,
what the fuck?
You know, you're going to start seeing those ads, you know?
Bro, that was something we talked about earlier on the podcast. And we were talking about, because I downloaded TikTok for like, I don't know, like research purposes. I needed to see what the fuck was going on here, right? And I said, like, yo, I'm a 29-year-old man, and I was on this app for like fucking 10 minutes, and I felt like shit, and I know how to handle my emotions, and I know how to process this shit. I couldn't imagine being a fucking kid on this app being like, yo, I feel terrible about who I am.
Impressionable. It's toxic.
It's toxic.
So hopefully we'll find a way through that, though I haven't seen that it's not infringing upon my world as of yet with my family and things. So I find the good in it. I love to see my little ones dancing, and then I love seeing them hearing songs from the fucking 70s, 80s, 90s shit that they know the words to because of that. So I think that's really cool. And you know, it happens to all of us. You know, when I go on a sports thing, I realize, you know, how little I actually do know the second I talk to some folks who actually know over at Barstool, like that hockey shit. It was like, you know, they said, you play hockey? I'm like, I think I remember playing, when I was 10 or 11, I played hockey. Yeah, sure, I play hockey.
Yeah.
No, that's
Not
a
like
whole
that.
no. When you're out there, you're like, oh shit, I'm way over my head right now. Like, and I think like that's natural, but it's fun. I'm hoping that the looking good part of it doesn't kind of creep people out too much in the end. I think we'll find somewhere where the talent, and again, the cream will rise to the top. I see these folks making songs. Some of them are really good. You know, I hope they
Yeah.
continue to make original music and thrive, and then our stuff will creep in someday, and we'll see what happens. You know,
How old are your kids?
I've got a 3-year-old, an 8-year-old, and an 11-year-old.
A 3-year-old. All right. Do the older ones, do they listen to your music at all?
They're
Or is
really
it
cool.
like,
They're
oh, it's
supportive.
dad, like,
They're very polite. They're very polite. They like the songs. They're very honest. I don't overdo it at home. I used to have a
yeah.
studio at home, and I felt like that was overdoing it for them. I'll come home and I will not be like, hey, check out my new song. But if we're watching TV and a song comes on a show, or we're in the car, or somebody, you know, it happens in public. They're so sweet and so fucking nice about it. And like, if I meet someone in the streets, they'll just be like, they're so nice about it that I'm good with that. They never say I like it or I don't like it.
Yeah.
They're just supportive. And I think that that's what it is. I do have an 8-year-old who's pretty critical of my editing skills and videos, because if I make videos, she's like, no, let me do it.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
fucked up.
Hey, that's good though.
That's
I think
awesome.
Yeah.
First off, you've created an in-house production team, which is great.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But just it'd be weird that's like, because my 10-year-old niece is like unbelievably good at editing videos, and I'm sitting here like, is that weird? Like, I'll change my question real quick. Have you got them into music? Have they started playing yet?
I do have a few different things with them. I won't force them into any sort of instrument, but I also always provide it. I do see that one or two of them is really into creating their own songs or their own art or their own everything. So that's a really
awesome.
cool sign. One of my guys is really good at computers and coding and all those types of things. And that's maybe, yeah, hopefully they will meld into some super futuristic family group and I can fucking retire.
Yeah, dude, what the hell?
Live vicariously through that's every dad's dream, right?
Yeah.
Eventually live vicariously through their kids.
Oh, just cake off your family?
I see one of them.
Yeah.
One of them does a crossover, and I'm like, oh,
let's go.
Going
We're
to the
going
NBA.
D1, baby. Let's go.
Free college.
Wait, Mark.
Yeah.
So you're handing stuff down to your kids. Like, what did you get handed down from your parents or your brother that got you into music to the point where you were like, this is what I want to do?
So this is what happened for me. My mom, having grown up in Atlantic City and gone to AC High and all that stuff, was in AC before the casinos came in. When the casinos came in, my grandfather went and became a blackjack dealer at the casino. They didn't have any money, but he was really into music and entertaining. And so upstairs in his house, he built like an entertainment spot where they'd play 45s and, you know, all the Rat Pack. I mean, he's really into Sinatra and all that stuff. And up in top of the house, he'd have that. And he had a little drum set, a little keyboard, a bass guitar, and the parties that would go on as I'm a little baby, I would be hearing these grown folks playing records and just the casino life and just all that type of stuff traveled down to my brother on the drums is how he learned how to play drums. Then he started his band, and I was and the second my grandmother passed away, the first song I wrote on the way to the house was Cancer Life. And it was like it all kind of melded into this thing from the experience of just being exposed to people in the house playing records, hearing musical instruments in a party atmosphere, and then being supported by parents who would come see me at parties and in crazy places where I'm playing music for people doing crazy things and being cool with that.
Yeah.
Totally cool with that because they came up in that. So it's like that is part of my DNA that was passed on to me. I think just an openness to the nightlife of music. You know, there's just something about it. It's like when I go to Times Square and the madness, Times Square makes no sense, but like there's Iridium, like this little jazz club, and I'm not a jazz fan, but you know, you're in there and you see why history matters. because it shapes us. We know that. But for me, that's how it happened. It was Atlantic City. It was my mom being cool with my job. At a young age, I start writing songs, and instead of them sending me to a doctor, to whomever to work through some shit, they'd say, go in the basement. I'd go and write a song about it. I mean, it was just very supportive. So yeah. And then I try to pass that to my kids kind of. My uncle always said, you know, whatever they love, I love.
Yeah. I mean, that's beautiful. And I mean, before we move on to anywhere else, and we're kind of in this songwriting space now. We're talking about inspiration. And I just had to ask you this because I'm gonna go on my songwriting nerd kick. This actually comes back to the Philly story you told about getting hit in the face with a silver dollar. So this is early Foxtrot. This is like 2013, 2014. And we're playing a bar gig in Delaware County to pay for our first EP. And I played a Green Day song, which we fucked up, and then got hit in the face with a beer bottle because I fucked it up. So we come back. We took a 20-minute break. We come back in, and we
scumbag city.
I know. But so when we came back in, we started doing some more lighthearted shit to bring it back up. And I know we did Mellow Mood by Bob Marley, and then we did Night Shift in to Stir It Up. So this is an O.A.R. story, and it kept the night going. So I just want to say that first off. But your music has always been on an edge where it just makes people feel good.
It does.
And it's been the soundtrack to so many great times, so many times sitting on our roof in college listening to the fucking O.A.R. live album. Was that a purposeful thing on your point? Like, because I know I've gone through periods of time where I've tried to make things more down, more up, or is the more upbeat shit just naturally that comes out of you?
That's a great question. I'm sorry if the helicopters are too loud, but it's okay.
Don't worry about it, brother. You're good.
You're good.
All right, sorry. Yeah, so okay. That's a really good question because you're talking about like managing a crowd. For me, I always grew up in enjoying hip hop records because we were exposed in the DC area to such a diverse variety of music, go-go music, hip hop, R&B, rock and roll, everything kind of, and reggae music was a big part of the DC area FM dial way down at like 88.9, 89.3, and also go-go at night. So I knew that moving the crowd was the primary job of the MC. So you're talking about moving the crowd. That's what I thought my job was. My job was to entertain people. The reason why I don't talk a lot between songs, I don't even say nothing the first 45 minutes to an hour of a show. I don't even say nothing. I play songs like fucking, that's what I'm there to do. Y'all paid the money. Y'all want to drink. You don't want to hear fucking what I think about anything. So, and I'm not even sure what I think half the time. So it's like that's the primary goal. MC, move the crowd. And that's what I'd listen to KRS-One, and I would listen to like Black Thought, and I would listen to all these amazing artists coming up, and I understood that. So that's what led me into being a live concert band. We were hard pressed to ever get something on record in a studio setting that sounded like a live show, and we were having trouble with that. So we worked harder and harder and harder on blending those worlds, which now I think we're figuring it out. But that was our primary goal. Our intention was always to tour. It was always to move the crowd. It was always to give people a break, always to fucking provide an environment where people could party, or if they wanted to cry, they could come cry with me. Cause I'm up there going through my therapy, whether you're fucking there or not. 2 hours, I'm working that shit out, and I feel much better afterwards. So I'm moving that crowd so they can move me back to square one. And it's a fucking relationship you have to have, and that's got to be your goals. I never understood a concert where I'm there and I feel like there is a wall between that stage and me.
Oh yeah.
And they're singing at me, they're playing at me, they're talking at me. Like, what stand up, sit down, put your hands up, go fucking over there, do this, say this, do this. I'm like, yo, there's a lot, and unless you're moving the crowd from here, I'm not participating. So bring that wall down. I go and see Bruno Mars at the fucking in Brooklyn at the Barclays, and like it's exactly what we all should be doing, is being involved with that audience, and keeping it on the rails, man. And so to answer your question, I'm flattered and psyched that you played Night Shift and to Steer It Up. The reason that song came about was because we had to move that crowd at the 930 Club. And then when we started playing reggae music, we said, listen, we cannot just go play this music. You can't just go play it. I'm gonna just play and one drop, yay, and no, wayo, and start fucking saying Ja every 5 seconds. It's like that's it's not believable, right?
It's not authentic, right?
It's not authentic, and it's disrespectful. And I felt like, you know what? How can we? I enjoy and I love this music so much. When I was in Israel in high school, I found a connection to an island music, and I felt that in me. I felt I had that heartbeat. But how can I not legitimize, but learn? So we got in touch with Junior Marvin, who was the guitar player for Bob Marley and the Wailers for like 3 or 4 years, 77 to 81, you know, right in that last time. And he taught us why the lyric is written the way it is. Why is the guitar played where it is? Why is the drum beat where it is? And we went to Drummy Zeb from the Wailers and said, come over to the basement. Drummy came to the basement and in our drummer's basement and played drums with us for hours, teaching us why do we hit this as hard as we do? Why is it happening? So once we learned all these things, it all met up with MC moving the crowd. So again, you're using that song to move the crowd. I'm using those songs to move the crowd, and I think Bob is using those songs to move the crowd. And that's the common thread that a touring musician and a live band musician has to have. Otherwise, you're just playing at somebody.
Dude, when you went into that conversation about like meeting the people who created the music, when you're talking about you're taking that lesson. Me and Dave have talked a lot on this podcast about. I said when I come to Chicago, I'm a big blues musician. I love blues. I fucking but I've always been taught since I was a kid, like you need to know who made it and you need to learn from them. Which is I was saying, dude, when I come to Chicago, we're going and I want to meet Buddy Guy. I want to go in and do fucking tours of like where this shit happened, bro. Like that's so nice to fucking hear that something like, you care that much. Buddy, man. Buddy's a fucking man.
Have you ever met Buddy?
You guys, yeah, you guys got to go to. Is Kingston Mines still around?
It's a casualty of Corona. I live blocks away from it. Yeah. When I heard that they were closing down, it broke my absolute heart. It's one of the best places in the world.
I mean, that place was a eye opener for me. And when I saw Buddy, I was in Australia doing a show tour with Ozomatli, who's like an amazing West Coast band. And I saw Buddy Guy play the first time. I mean, I got to high five him, say hi, but no, he would never remember meeting me. And but I was like, I'll never forget what he was wearing, you know, and just an amazing person. And just to see someone again playing it from the chest, doing it because they love it. He doesn't need to do it. He's out there cranking. I feel like we need to look up to those folks. You know, we have to.
We have to. It's where it comes from, dude. It's if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. I think that's a fucking old saying. But
yeah.
Before we get out of here, Dave, I feel like we have to come back into your world for a minute. Yeah. I want to we need to rapid fire some sports shit in here because I know, Mark, you're a fucking sports. I need to know, where do your allegiances lie? Like, are you a DC area fan? Are you a New York fan? Like, where do you go?
Shit. Okay, so check it out. I grew up all Capitals, season tickets, Caps, right? All Redskins. Coming up, RFK Stadium, first game against the Cowboys. I can still feel the place shaking, you know. Mm-hmm. And the years went by. And, you know, and also Orioles, right? So now, though, having the years gone by, everything that's happened with the Washington football team, leading up to that, the manner in which the stadium is operated, just different things led me, just kind of pushed me further uptown into Baltimore. And the Ravens having had, I just love the system there. I love the folks there. I think, and not to take anything away from Washington, because trust me, there's probably amazing people who work there. And it's like, I have no idea why it's dysfunctional to this point. I mean, I think I know.
Well, everybody does. Everybody
does. But I've been pushed up north to the Ravens. I love that. I just love working with them. They've been so nice to us. So now I'm Ravens. Hockey, I'll always want to cheer on the Caps to going to great heights. I just love the fucking Capitals. But I've been in New York for 20 years and I've made amazing friends in the Rangers organization and have enjoyed being a fan of the Rangers. And then because of those friends they all go off and play on other teams and go around the globe, I've come to realize that I honestly just fucking love professional sports athletes at any team at that level. I cannot watch it and feel like, damn, like how amazing is this? But I will always like cheer for the Caps, the Rangers, the Ravens. I love the Nationals just because, what they've been able to build has been incredible. Basketball is something that I don't know enough about to lay claim to anything. But I grew up a Bullets fan, and the second they went Wizards, I mean, we had Jordan for a while, and that was amazing. It's been a tough sell down there, but I don't know enough about basketball to lay claim to anything.
I will say, I don't think me or Dave blame you for jumping ship from the Washington football team.
I mean, I'm this is gonna come off as douchey because I'm not a big hockey fan at all, and I fully jumped on the Blackhawks bandwagon in 2008 when they got good, and now that they're just kind of middling again, it's just like whatever. But I lived through the 90s Bulls, 3 Blackhawks championships, a White Sox championship, so I've been pretty spoiled as a whole. But at the same time, like I'm thinking, like my teams all stink. They all stink. Even though the White Sox should be good, but like the Bears right now, I went back in 2014 and 15 when Mark Trestman was here, who was a OC for the Ravens for a year or two or whatever. It was such a disorganized, dysfunctional, awful franchise that I'm like, I can't mentally do this anymore. I had to like cut them out basically because they had such a bad effect on my psyche. Like I couldn't watch Sports Center. Like every time I think about them, I would just get in a pissed off mood. And now they're doing the same shit again. It's just like, rough. Like I wish sports were more like music to where they all like, and I think that's actually, I should say that sports, like being miserable is part of the experience of being a sports fan. Like I would hate to be a Yankees fan. I would hate to be a Dodgers fan. Like I have to be a little miserable, but at the same time, like I wish like music, like you can turn on something to pick up your mood at any given time. It's a click of a button away now. And
there's no guarantee with the game.
There's no guarantee with the
game. And that, and again, like I fall into sports conversations and you start to realize all the holes and realize you don't know. But again, it's only supposed to give you that feeling of excitement. It's an entertainment. It's a product. I always say the NHL. I mean, look, you guys right now, you got Kevin Hayes in Philly. I mean, not you guys, but over there in Philly.
I love Kevin Hayes.
Okay, so Hazy's like the greatest hockey player in the NHL right now. And I'm saying like, and so great for Philly. Even look, I came up in DC. I came up in New York. Philly is not the team that you're cheering for when you come up in DC or New York. I'm sitting in the stands at football games and seeing more fights in the stands and at the hockey games than on the ice. They're throwing fucking pennies and quarters on the ice at the old Cap Center because they're coming down from Philly with a vengeance. And I'll tell you, like, it's supposed to give you that, but it will not guarantee happiness.
Nope.
And so sports fan, you better be dedicated. In Chicago, it's like, I know my friends, man, who were ball boys for the Bulls and all this, they still, man, they're like praying for those days to come back.
Bro, me and Dave are from similar cities. Chicago and Philly have very similar attitudes in a certain perspective. Yeah. I live in a constant state of either hope or misery. There's rarely elation in there. It's more like, oh my God, we can do it.
Eagles fans do this. You guys got your Super Bowl. You guys got your Super Bowl.
Fuck you. Yes, we did. I told you this before, but I cried for like a fucking week when we won the Super Bowl. It was the single. This sounds so fucked up because I got married like the same year. It was like the greatest fucking moment of my life. Like legitimately,
of course.
But you have to understand that, like, okay, there was a honeymoon period the year after, and then shit went bad, and then shit went really bad, and now I'm just back to like hating life. Regardless, I'm okay. It's fun.
So you're not a Howie fan.
Fuck Howie Roseman. Literally my wife.
That was the most authentic. Sports are crazy.
So ever. So
y'all are insane.
This is how you know you work from home, right? My wife is downstairs. I'm up in the office.
She can hear you talking shit.
She just said. She said, please don't scream fuck in 10 minutes when I'm on the phone with one of my biggest clients. So
yes, exactly.
Welcome to quarantine life, baby. Mark, this has just been, because I know we're running out of time. This has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
man.
I appreciate you, Mark.
We did say this. This was a recruiting trip. You're now on team Turn Dave into a rock star.
Well, let me give you my little piece of advice. And I think I already mentioned it. I don't think Dave's looking to become a famous rock star, right, Dave?
No. This is what I tell people. I want to get on stage, and Joe's on Wheat Street where we started the conversation. I've seen Garth Brooks there. I've seen Darius Rucker there. It's not a big venue. It holds like 800
Joe's.
Joe's on Wheat Street.
Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we absolutely played there, and like not that early on in the career either. It was like for a special. I mean, we went there. It's like a famous place. Yeah,
I saw you guys.
Yeah,
it's very famous. Yes, I saw you guys 3 years ago at Wish Fest, cancer charity.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite. It's my favorite day of the winter. I've seen Third Eye Blind there, Dispatch. I was also told to tell you Dispatch is better than O.A.R.
Absolutely they are, and
you guys
everyone knows that.
But
I love them. We're
just busting balls.
Yeah, just busting. It seems like every time like he would go up and down the ice, he would look at you. Dispatch is better because his cousin is like their manager or something. So
they're great. Yes, it's like, because I told him, I said for some reason like people always be like, I like O.A.R, but I mean, or like, but I'm more of a Dispatch person. Or
you gotta
draw the line.
More of
a compliment. No,
I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And we all love each other, and we're all gonna be touring together soon.
I can't wait for that. I'll be at multiple shows.
Listen, that right there, you're in New York. I'm in Philly. When he comes to New York because he comes to work all the time. We got to get in a room and we need to evaluate where Dave is so far. We need to have I need help evaluating the path.
We'll bring him into the studio and where everyone, it's like going to play hockey, like at that thing. It was exposed, man. Like everyone's looking. It's like, oh shit. Exactly. I didn't know this was going to happen.
This is completely like ruining the flow of the conversation, but I did have to tell you before we let you go back. It was actually two things. So my dad doesn't fly and I got 5 siblings, and my mom's side of the family's from New Jersey. So I've spent a ton of time in Atlantic City in my life. They're like 40, they're in Tom's River, Little League World Series champs and everything.
Oh yeah.
And we were driving out. This was probably in 2003-ish. And this was back when CDs were a thing. And I had The Wanderer. It was one of my favorite albums. And I was like 15 years old, and I would ride shotgun with my dad. And I would just start rifling different CDs in, and there, I remember it like it was yesterday. He goes, get this shit off, put the oars back on. I'm like, what the oars? He's like, yeah, Crazy Game of Poker. Like play, like those guys are good. Like play them. I'm like, it's O.A.R. And yes, they're awesome.
Oars.
Yes, I'll take that shit, man. I thought you were gonna say, and we saw you on the street in the car, and you were a total dick. And
no. Well, then fast forward.
Oh, this is a great later, story. Great.
You guys are playing Freak Fest in Madison, Wisconsin. This would have been 2008 or so.
Oh my God, yeah.
And my birthday is the day before Halloween. So all my like best high school friends went to University of Wisconsin. So I'd go up there all the time because it's such a shit show. And I went to college in the Chicago area, small school. So I didn't have like the Big Ten, huge party scene atmosphere. And I got completely hammered out of my skull and I lost all my friends. And I didn't have a ticket to your guys' show. I somehow got in. And I came to out of a blackout on I think it was it was either my 21st or 22nd birthday. And I am smack dab front row of the stage and I'm staring at you. And I start looking around like, where in the fuck is everybody? And I just watched the concert alone. So,
dude, so my perspective of that night, that was like 3 a.m, right? We played at like 3 a.m. It was like, yes. Or 2, it was like 2 to 3
in the morning. It was very late.
The next day we're supposed to play in the Bahamas. And we don't, so we play till 3 a.m. We get on a plane at fucking 4 a.m. 2 hours and 50 minutes later, we land in the Bahamas. We take take a boat, get to this thing. And we end up playing a show with what's the band like? I hope it gives you hell. No.
All American Radio.
Yeah, the All American.
Yeah. So we're doing
that's actually what my dad was probably telling me to get off the radio and put the oars back.
Hey man, I'm into the reject, but I'm really an oars guy. And we get there and we're playing on this fucking island, and I didn't bring any clothes, and I'm doing this show for VH1 or something. And I'm wearing the same goddamn black jeans, black shirt, black outfit, and it's 4,000 degrees and I haven't slept. So you blacked out. You came out of a blackout. I went into a blackout. And I woke up in the Bahamas in my jeans on a beach somewhere, the palest dude you've ever seen, ever. And I'm just sitting there like sweating, just like, oh my God. And they're like, ready, action. I mean, I just remember those days of like, we had no control over anything. We didn't know what we were doing. And then someone would put a camera in your face, and then and it's just trying to like navigate through that shit. It's very similar to you trying to navigate your way to the front row of that
Hey,
show.
I just stayed there. I'm like, I don't need anybody here. I'm enjoying this. So
yeah, so we were all lost together, and that's Wisconsin's fault, because that Halloween shit there is out of control.
it's out of control. It's
Completely.
insane. I couldn't have gone to a school like that.
No, I would have died. I probably would have
Yeah.
died.
I would have died, or I would have failed out within a week.
Yeah, we're lucky we had a crew of people to make sure we did not die. That's
Oh,
very
by the way, I'm a Michigan fan, so when you said that you're an Ohio State fan, legitimately, if you looked on the camera, I was just like this. So,
And let me tell you that I feel that hate, because we played a show at Ohio State at our whole own school against Michigan, and they threw beers at our own fans threw beers at us just because, you know, it's like that shit is wild on both sides, you know.
all things that I am fans of have to be like a violent fan base. Like, it seems like I'm either like, all right, it's Michigan or it's Philadelphia, like one of the two. So, Mark, this has been a fucking pleasure, dude. I really can't thank you enough for coming on. I can't wait to have you chop it up and work with Dave to see whether or not we can turn him into what he wants to become. Dave, anything else you want to say?
I'm just, thanks, man. Appreciate all you do. Thanks for getting back to me so easily and just hopping on with us. It's honestly like for me, dealing with like agents and managers, it sucks. You don't understand how much it means to us. It just, and like I said, cool, Barstool as a whole, Colin and I. So thank you, and keep spitting out good music. Can't wait till I saw you guys just dropped. Colin said you released that. What was the song?
Chasing Sunlight.
Yeah, Chasing
Yeah,
Sunlight.
they've been putting we've been lucky, man. We have a lot of these songs. Back in the day when you put out an album, Target would say, hey, give us 2 extra songs and we'll fucking put them on a thing. Yeah, and Walmart would say, give me 2 extra. And then you're doing Best Buy and all this fucking shit. Then you have all these songs and you could never put them out officially. But now Spotify is digging this stuff up. It sounds great. They're putting them out on Fridays, and it's killer because now these are the lost